Good morning, I'm Olivia Otieno, female host. Music exclusively by female artists. So even as you're thinking of your favorite love songs, please, it needs to be by a woman or a collabo. I'll allow that. All right. And on these chairs, only female guests. And today we are delving into the climate crisis. Yeah. Climate change is real. It's like COVID. It exists. Do not be fooled by naysayers, right? With me is Selina Sanu. She's the head of programs at PACCHA. I have Elizabeth Wathuti. She's an environment and climate activist. And I have Rebecca Okello, who's program officer for climate change at COTU. Sending her apologies, and our hearts are with her, is Dr. Mary Nyasimi from ICCASA. She's the executive director, and she sends her apologies because she has had a family emergency. So I want to ask you firstly, Selina, what is PACCHA?
PACCHA is the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance.
And what do you deal with?
We deal with climate justice.
Yes.
Yes, we work across the continent in Africa on climate justice.
In particular, how do you do that with regards to gender, marginalized communities, marginalized persons? You know, is it clearly defined with regards to PACCHA, or is it a broad spectrum?
It's both. It's both, I can say that. But we work across the continent in 48 countries in Africa with partners that are over 1,000. And it's a network of 1,000 organizations. And we work at the grassroots with people at the front line of climate change, those that are hit the most, those that bear the brunt of climate change, especially women, especially in indigenous communities. So those are the people that we work with.
I hear you, Selina. I hear Elizabeth. Tell me about your environment and climate activism.
So I am an environmentalist and a climate activist. Yes. And apart from that, I'm also the founder of Green Generation Initiative that nurtures young people to love nature and to be environmentally conscious at a young age. And I also head campaigns at Wangari Maathai Foundation, which is a legacy foundation that is instilling in the character traits of young people, of Wangari Maathai into young people.
Yes.
And part of the campaigns that I head is called Daima, which is a coalition of civic actors who've come together to advocate for urban green spaces protection. And so my activism is purely out of love for nature, and I truly do understand and feel the pain of nature. And that is why I get that natural call to action to just step up and be a voice for nature and also a voice for the people that are the most impacted by the climate crisis.
I love that. Have you read a book called Collapse?
Not really.
Have you heard of it?
No.
What is the opposite of an environmentalist? I'm asking you that because I'm reading this book currently by Jared Diamond called Collapse, which is about the collapse of societies and civilizations as a result of climate and other factors, but primarily climate and environmental factors. We'll get back to you because Rebecca's like, what is going on? Yes. Rebecca Okello, tell me about COTU, right? Tell me about your work as a program officer in the climate change department.
Start of COTU is the Central Organization of Trade Union, which is a national labor center in Kenya, and it is one of the greatest labor center in Kenya, where it's for advocacy of workers' rights in Kenya, where you see where our companies have CBAs. That is part of our work. We ensure every worker has a right to a decent work in their work environment. For me, as a climate change program officer in Kenya, our office main idea under the climate change program is to ensure all activities in the workplace are climate just.
Yes.
Because currently climate change is a real thing, as you have said, and it is here to stay. And if we don't infuse climate change issues in the labor movement, we'll end up having workers who are not in our working areas. Because currently, climate change is affecting everywhere.
Yes.
You see, recently there was ban in plastic bags. Who are affected?
Yes.
It's the workers.
Yes.
And it was almost 300,000 workers who were affected when Kenya was trying to go green. So our work as the climate change program is to ensure every policies, every action that is affecting workers in relation to climate change, we ensure they are protected. Thank you.
106.0 Spice FM in Nakuru. Good morning, I'm Olivia Otieno, and I've got a sad love song by Alicia Keys next on this all love song 00 Direct. But first with me are Selena, Elizabeth and Rebecca, and we're discussing the environmental, social and financial effects of climate change. Effects, how climate change is impacting you. Selena, from PACJA and the people that you work with, right? Tell me about the work and tell me about the mandate for PACJA.
Our mandate as PACJA is climate justice.
Yes. And
that's what we work on. On the three of them, of course, it's all about environment.
Yes.
But as I said, as we move from the scientific discussions, we've now moved to looking at climate from a justice point of view because it's about injustice.
Where are the injustices with regards to climate change, especially here in Kenya?
The injustices are, for instance, communities. Remember, we said that we as Africans, we never caused climate change. It's caused by the industrial nations. But we are today bearing the brunt as African countries, as Kenya.
Yes.
We are bearing that brunt of what someone else caused.
Yes.
Now, that is injustice.
Yes.
Now, that is injustice, and that is what we are trying to address.
However, that is a very global, a very political statement. With regards to the people on the ground and the communities with which you work with, where are specifically these cases of climate injustice?
So if you look at the communities that we work with,
yes,
they suffer from floods,
yes,
they suffer from droughts, and they do not get the support that they need from our governments.
Yes.
How do we support, the droughts, for example, or the floods that we saw in 2019
yes,
affected several counties.
Yes.
We saw West Elgeyo Marakwet,
yes,
we saw West Pokot, Meru, and other counties that went through that.
Yes.
And what kind of, people lost livelihoods,
yes,
people lost lives,
yes,
but there was no loss and damage for those people, and especially the women who are actually bearing the brunt the most in those communities.
So how is PACJA working with these communities in order to educate, uplift, and support them?
So we work with them, for example, to support several activities. We work in the coast where we are restoring the mangroves along the coastal belts that have been deforested, cut down. So that's an area that we do that. Right now we have an initiative, a very powerful initiative called locally led initiative,
yes,
whereby we're working bottom up. We're
yes,
working with the local people,
yes,
and saying that policies the work we're doing there would inform the policies at the national, regional and global. So what we're doing, if I use an example of what we're doing in Meru,
yes,
we're working with communities and really women, putting them in touch with the private sector,
yes,
local private sector, to provide, to build their resilience around their livelihoods.
Okay.
So we are working with BIDCO,
yes,
that's giving the communities seeds,
yes,
to plant sunflower,
yes,
and BIDCO supports these farmers along the chain line, yes, and ultimately provides them with the market to sell those their products.
I love it. Rebecca, you're representing Kotu. I need to understand, how is climate change affecting me as a worker?
For workers, majorly climate change, the major effect of climate change for a worker in a work environment is the elements of job losses. Because once unemployment is impacted by climate change issues, there are those issues of job reduction, there are elements such as human reduction, workforce reduced. So in a way, people tend to lose their jobs. So our efforts as Kotu under the climate change program is to ensure that the policies and workplace initiative are geared towards creating more sustainable jobs that are green.
What are these green jobs everyone keeps talking about? Because entire industries are going to be wiped out if we go green.
Yes.
So what are these green industries, and is it actually feasible to invest in them?
Green jobs are jobs that are environmental friendly, where we advocate for sectors to reduce on their increasing the carbon footprints on the environment, where they use green technologies that favor the environment, and also find policies that support these green policies. Because for us as trade unions, our main job is advocacy.
Yes.
So advocacy, it's in a way we find ways to force our issues in policies that support workers but ensure green, but the jobs are in a green way. So these are part of also our agenda as we are heading towards COP26. We ensure that every policies that will be implemented, all that will be supported at the COP26,
yes,
it is just.
What
to
policies
every
are you
workers.
actually lobbying for at the moment in terms of change or implementation that you feel would be beneficial to workers?
Currently, we are having a keen eye on the NDC, the
Yes.
National Determined Contribution, and also we are also working together with the Paris Agreement, specifically on Article 26,
Yes.
which also which gears on issues of mitigation, adaptation, climate finance, and technology development, because those are the main areas that brings out our mandate, our core interest in advocating for the just transition.
In our current state,
Okay.
are you witnessing injustices with regards to workers and climate change? And what are they? Because I'm trying to find the connection between Aching and what you're saying. Of course, Aching will realize it when she loses her job, that, oh, I lost my job, you know. But right now, her level of interest and participation, I'm not understanding how you can attract her and draw her into your argument.
Okay, we can look at the tourism sector.
Yes.
They majorly depend on the natural resources.
Yes.
That is the wildlife. Animals. Yes, the tourists come to Kenya because of our climatic conditions.
Yes.
But since the adverse climatic condition is not favoring the normal movement of animals in our safari parks, so it won't attract more tourists into our
Yes,
countries.
yes.
And in a way, it is affecting our members,
Yes.
where they are not getting their usual returns in their offices. That leads to the management to bring out reduction of workers in the
Yes.
workforce.
Yes.
So these are some of the issues we want to curb. Like, let's check the quarry sector.
Yes.
Currently, we're having long, hot seasons.
Yes.
And people working in the quarry sector, they are not given the proper PPEs to work in these sectors.
Yes.
And the employment are working with the archaic policies
Yes.
in the OSH industry,
Yes.
which don't cater the upcoming PPEs that are needed to be checked in this area.
Indeed.
So us as the climate change expert, we bring out that there is climate change. We need to update our policies in a way that appreciates the existing climate condition.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. I'm going to ask Elizabeth, are you Kenya's Greta Thunberg? You're a young climate activist.
Yes, but I'm Elizabeth Pathuti, Kenya. I think it's good to always associate someone with, the voice and the work that they do.
Tell me about your voice. Tell me about your work. And why should young people be interested in climate change?
Young people should be interested in climate change because this is about our future.
But we
And
didn't cause this because, fine, people in Greta's country or other countries, are responsible.
Yeah.
Like Selena has just said.
Yeah.
Our young people had no hand. Even our older people. They've done many things, but the climate change and its effects, not their problem, or not their responsibility. So you tell me how we're going to get people into this fight, and get them understanding exactly what their purpose is with regards to climate change.
I think you just did the first thing, which is recognizing the intergenerational injustices that exist. And if every young person recognizes that we are actually the generation that is going to have to live longer with the consequences of the inaction today and the consequences of any wrong decision that our leaders are going to make today. So that's the first call to action for us to step up, because
Okay.
they will not be here to live in that planet that they are creating right now.
Selena, you said something, but I also disagree with you. And I'm going to go back to Elizabeth on this.
Okay.
They've been cutting down all our trees,
Yes.
these parents of ours.
Yes.
Tell me about forestation right now and the cover of forest that we have vis-a-vis what we should be having.
I'm one person who has faced what I like to call ecological grief.
Yes.
Ever since I was a young child.
Yes.
And I have grown up in Nyeri County. It's actually the most forested region in Kenya. And I remember as a child, this was the time when Wangari Maathai was mobilizing women to plant trees and establish tree nurseries. And I have all these memories of being close to the trees ahead of me, the bushes besides me, the clean streams. But right now, this natural world.
Did you just say clean streams?
Yes.
I am yet to encounter that
Exactly.
in
And
this
that's
country.
the whole point.
I thought I misheard you.
Yeah.
Clean streams. Okay.
Back then.
Yes.
Because right now, that natural world that my friends and I knew as children has completely changed before our eyes. And I remember like one of the fastest flowing streams in Kenya. You probably don't know of the fastest flowing river in Africa that's called Gura. It just flows close to my homestead in Nyeri. But right now, the speed, the water levels have gone down. It's no longer flowing in the same fast speed. The forests have been destroyed and degraded over time. Right now, Kenya is at about 7.3% forest cover, which is below the 10% required minimum for every country. And I think it's quite alarming how we've continued to degrade our forests, and that is where right now there's a lot of issues as well on the water crisis. People no longer have enough to eat, leave alone store or even sell. And there's something I always talk about, how back then the granaries were always so full.
Yes.
And there was so much maize, the arrowroots, the cassavas.
Yes.
But right now they are, they're empty. They're running empty.
So what is being done about it? Because I'm hearing a lot of talk about it.
Yep.
But what is actually being done about it? Because it is not an elitist problem.
Yes.
Things like this are a grassroots issue.
Yes.
Right? I get my water from the supermarket. I get my grains from the supermarket.
Yeah.
I get everything from the supermarket. However, they are not grown in the supermarket.
Yes.
The water is not made in the supermarket.
Yes.
So what exactly can be done? Because where is your activism?
So my activism is in two ways. And the first thing is to recognize the power of both individual responsibility and system change. We can never separate the two. I mean, we cannot say that environmental conservation is just going to be left to a certain group of people like activists or people who are concerned. It's about every person. And again, there are people who have the power, our world leaders. There are people who have the resources to do much more bigger things. And this is where we begin to recognize the people that are the most impacted by the climate crisis. Right now, as we speak, over 2.1 million Kenyans are facing starvation.
Yes.
And these are people that are at the, they are almost, I would say, not in a position or in a capacity to be able to adapt or even live with the impacts of the climate crisis.
Yes.
So this calls for more, leadership as well. And it also calls for us to continue letting people know what is happening. Because
I'll ask you to pause right there. Selina, are you the voice of these people? Are you the voice of the 2.1 who are facing starvation?
Yes, we are the voice. I mean, we are all activists and we all work. We have responsibility to ensure that they get food on their tables.
Since the president announced that drought is a national disaster in September, what has been done? What have you been doing, or who have you been working with to ensure these people don't starve to death?
So we have really intensified that work that I talked about on locally led initiatives, working with the grassroots.
Yes.
So now we've moved on. We've moved on from the sunflower.
Yes.
We're now also looking at very lucrative products like sorghum.
Yes.
So right now we're supporting the local communities also to grow those types of crops to build their resilience, because that is the only way that nobody else is going to come and help them put food on their table. You have to build their resilience and provide them with a livelihood that works well for their community.
Do you ask for people to get in touch with PACJA, or do you go out into communities? How do you make PACJA known in Kenya?
We go to the communities.
Yes.
Yesterday we were in Meru.
Okay.
The biggest rally with communities around building resilience.
Yes.
So we were yesterday launching that project of ours. It's called Tuji Inue Tena.
Tell me that again.
Tuji Inue Tena.
And how many people were there?
Oh, looking at the pictures, because I wasn't in the film myself, my executive director was there. We were talking over maybe two up to 500 people in that particular launch.
SpiceFM in Malindi. I love Malindi. I see you all. Thank you. It's fantastic. Good morning. I'm Olivia Oteno, and October, globally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I cannot stress enough the importance of early detection. Early detection saves lives. Do not be afraid, because the sooner you find out, the better your chances of not dying of breast cancer. Conduct regular self-exams and go get yourself checked as advised by your doctor, depending on your age and risk factors. As a woman in her 40s, like me, I need annual checks. No jokes about it. Yeah. However, right now we are discussing climate change and in particular how it impacts you. With me are Elizabeth Wathuti, an environment and climate activist. I have Rebecca Okello, program officer, climate change at KOTU. And I have Selina Sonu, head of programs at PACJA. We are talking now about COP26. I'm asking you all, why are they not writing off our debt? We did not cause climate change, right? Why are we even discussing this as a maybe if somehow? I know, Rebecca, you have some answers for me. Tell me.
As we head towards COP26, I know we started at COP1, and here we are here in COP26.
And the situation is more worse.
Yes, the situation is more worse, and there is more policies and documents. But between COP1 to COP26, there was an agreement that developed countries were supposed to do a climate funding contribution, where the target was $100 billion. But due to nitty-gritties...
I know nitty-gritty. So what I'm saying, right, our president is heading to Glasgow next week for COP26. Mm-hmm. Yeah? The agenda should be just write off our debt. If you don't want to give us money, we've been waiting. COP2, COP3, COP4, COP5, you know? It's like Fast and Furious movies. There have been too many with little action. So we need to know, why not just have, as one of your lobbying, the writing off of debt? Because what is KOTU contributing towards COP26 with regards to mandate?
As we walk towards COP26 for KOTU, our first agenda is the climate funding, where we want we be provided with the climate funding that decarbonizes the global south, where we also want it, when we are doing the climate financing, it should have the elements of a just transition. A just transition in a way it caters for the needs of the workers.
So retraining, upskilling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So as the money is being found, any policy on climate financing should cater workers' rights.
Okay.
We should have social dialogue issues between workers, employers, and the government, so that the funding should be done inclusively. No one should be left behind.
Which industries are most at risk?
The tourism sector,
Yes.
the agricultural sector, the mining sector, also the energy sector is at risk.
Okay.
Those are the four major sectors that will be greatly affected, because if we ignore them, like the agricultural sector,
Yes.
you know what will happen.
Transitionary, what are the options for those sectors with regards to climate justice?
We usually advocate for job substitution.
Yes.
Just as PACJA has spoken about the sunflower seeds,
Yes.
those are drought-tolerant crops,
Yes.
where we advocate for workers to find other alternative ways to continue with their production.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it. Elizabeth, what are your hopes and dreams for COP26 with regards to the youth and young people in this country?
One thing is, I don't hope. I love. And I talked about like my love for nature. That's why I'm doing all that I'm doing today,
Yes,
which is like a feeling I really would want every person.
Is
you
the
know.
president taking a youth representative with him? In his
I'm going to go
entourage?
personally, but what do you mean by if
Oh,
the
you're
president
going
is
to
taking?
COP?
Yeah.
And you're funding yourself? Or it's part of, I mean, which organization are you working with for that?
So I am currently working with Wangari Maathai
Maathai.
Foundation.
Yes.
I have my badge
Yes.
through the Greenbelt Movement.
Yes.
Yes, and being funded by another organization called Arthritis Studio.
So next week you're going to be in Glasgow.
Yes.
What are you going to be saying whilst you're there?
So I have to first let something sink in.
Yes.
It's COP26.
Yes.
That's 26 years of talking and talking and talking.
Are you even 26? Just say yes
Yeah,
or no.
I mean, I'm 26 right now.
Okay.
And the whole point is like adults have been talking about the climate crisis.
Your whole life.
Since I was, barely nestled in my mother's womb.
Yes.
So, and that's the big reality of it all. And I mean, that's the whole point. Like, we don't want any more of these talks. I mean, people are suffering, people are dying from this crisis. People are, losing their lives and their livelihoods.
Do you know what happened in COP25? Right?
Yeah.
With regards to what was discussed, what was agreed upon, and what was never implemented? Do we know that? Or are we just going for another new conference? Because we want to, kwenda Glasgow. Like, honestly, do we know what happened in 25? Because in order to discuss 26, don't we have to first have a recap, like previously on? Yeah. What happened in COP25?
I feel there was a lot of frustrations at COP25. I was there. I left there frustrated as a young person because it was all about negotiating. And you can't negotiate about people's lives, people's livelihoods. This is a crisis. It's an emergency, and we have to treat it like we have treated the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's not getting the same priority, the same attention. We are still discussing about offering climate finance to countries that are the most impacted by the climate crisis, despite being the ones that have least contributed. And I think we should no longer be in the COPs to negotiate about saving people's lives. It's supposed to be about what are we doing right now to make sure there is no more loss and damage, to make sure that children are going to have food and water for tomorrow. But again, it seems as though people no longer have that sense of shared humanity anymore, because this is about, the lives. And it's that feeling that I really hope everybody shared, because if that's what we have in mind and in our hearts, even in these COPs, I think we should have made so much progress right now.
Selina, what do you want to see from COP26?
So just to say that COP25, like my colleague has said, was a total failure. I'll give you a practical example. We worked with the Women Major Group on the Gender Action Plan.
Yes.
It has never been ratified by any African country, including our own.
What was it that they didn't want to ratify?
That is the thing we don't know, because one of the conditions was that each country has to appoint gender focal points.
Yes.
We do not have any gender focal points.
Okay.
And we're going back to Glasgow to ask what really happened over there.
Yes.
We said a gender focal point, and now we're coming back here. We do not have gender focal points that can advance our work.
Yes.
So that is, first of all, the biggest failure.
Yes.
And we're hopeful. I mean, what is the expectation as we go?
Yes.
PACCHA, as we all know, is the largest Pan-African organization working on climate justice.
Yes.
Our role is to mobilize. And so in Kenya, for example, we've had 2 meetings. Monday, we had a meeting of the civil society to come up with a statement to influence the government position paper.
Okay.
And we've shared that with the government.
Yes.
Yesterday, we had the African women and girls meeting. And we've come up also with a statement.
Yes.
And we are also infusing that into the government statement. Now, one major thing that has come from both meetings is the funding that we were discussing a little while.
Yes.
As my colleague said, they committed to $1 billion.
Yes.
annually.
These are the Western
These are Western countries.
Okay.
That money has never come, to be sincere. And wherever it has trickled down a bit, the regulations and the guidelines are so stringent that women, indigenous people, people at the community level will never access it. Okay. They cannot even develop bankable proposals to access that money.
Oh no!
Yeah, so this is the biggest. This is the thing we're going to Glasgow about.
You're going to Glasgow as well.
Yes, I'm going as well.
What do you want to see coming out of COP26 with regards to PACCHA's mandate and PACCHA's agenda? Because I know that you've talked about the fact that gender issues. We've not ratified it. What will that mean? And I bring her back, right, to Achieng. What will that mean? Are you looking for Achieng to be compensated financially? Are you looking for programs there to be put for her to understand the impact of climate change and to be more resilient with regards to her livelihood, her stocks, her job, etc.? Because when people hear these sorts of conversations, they're very intellectual. They're very aspirational things, but they usually lack a lot with regards to tangible outcomes, right? Were you at COP24?
No.
You were not. Were you at COP24?
No.
You were not. So we started at COP25 with regards to the people seated at this table, right? Yeah. Now we're at 26. What for you is going to be a win, right? What for you is going to be a tangible win with regards to the outcomes from this conference that you are accompanying our president to next week? I'm going to start with you, Elizabeth.
One of my wins, and for the fact that we are fighting for climate justice right now, is that I want to see prosperity, fairness, and solidarity.
Okay, those are very nice words. I want to see no more cutting down of trees.
Yeah.
I want to see organizations being forced to plant more trees in and around the areas which they operate. I want to see cleanup, of our streams, our rivers. I want real answers, ladies. I'm going to give you a second to think about it, to collect your thoughts, and then stop giving me nonsense. Give me straight answers.
Right.
Climate change. I've been very, 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 very bad to these ladies. I know Selena, Elizabeth, Rebecca, wanataka kuniua. Mumbi, I may not make it out of here alive. Ambia bwana, mtoto, ako nyumbani, akuja mchukue. No. But this is a very serious topic, climate change. And in particular, grassroots initiatives, because it's all bottom up. Right? It's affecting all of us, and unfortunately, more diversely and aggressively, it's affecting those at the grassroots level. So I love what PACCHA is doing. Tell me more about capacity building.
Okay, so just to say that, I think we've been doing things. We've been going about them the wrong way. It's always top down.
Yes.
It's always been
COP25 to mention.
Yeah, that is top. That's also top down.
Yes.
And the only hope is really to go bottom up. And we thought in PACCHA, let's go back to Wanjiku.
Yes.
Let's go back to Acheng.
Yes.
Let's hear from her. What are her pains?
Yes.
Like, for instance, when we went to Meru, and during COVID,
Yes.
the cash crop has been Mira.
Okay.
The export.
Yes.
It's very, people export.
Yes.
People also sell in the market.
Yes.
People always have cash.
Yes.
But then came COVID-19 and borders were closed. There was no more selling. Can you imagine what Wanjiku went through?
There was no money.
There was no cash in her. So we had to think,
Okay.
be creative and say, how do we build their resilience?
Yes.
What kind of livelihood is good for Wanjiku at this time?
Yes.
And that's what we came up with, the different things, the sunflower,
Yes.
the sorghum,
Yes.
and we're moving now to other crops
Yes.
that are environmental friendly.
Yes.
And we want also to scale up to take these initiatives to other counties. We've been in Tana River
Yes.
during the Environment Day.
Yes.
We discussed with the governor
Yes.
there.
Yes.
He's very interested and he's going to tell us what works there.
Okay.
What works for those people.
Okay.
We want to go to Nyanza and
Yes.
say, what works for Acheng?
True.
Come down and work with the people. What do they need?
Yes.
They need capacity building.
Yes.
For them to be able to build, to build their resilience.
Yes.
And come up with bamba harvests like the ones we had in Meru on the sunflower.
So with regards to policy, now
Yeah.
we're going
Go-
further
yeah.
up. We're moving up,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What policies are currently in place to assist them?
For example, we have the Climate Act of 2016.
Yes.
So we are hoping, what we're doing now in the grassroots, this can also feed into those policies
Yes.
so that we can enhance them, develop them. But to tell you, this country is not short of policies. No country in Africa is short of policies. Where is the gap? Where is the gap?
Where is the gap?
gap is in the implementation.
Okay.
These policies are collecting dust in our shelves.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes.
I just told you we came from Madrid
Yes.
with the gender action plan.
Yes.
And where is it in people? It's in drawers.
So what
of
I want to
government.
ask you, I
Yeah.
want to challenge you.
Yeah.
Who is the person sitting with these policies in their drawers and in their shelves? Which office has these policies in their drawer and in their shelf? I know you don't want to ask me anything, go to. And Rebecca's like, please, Olivia, don't even look at me. So I'm going to ask you, Selena.
Yes.
Where are they?
They are with our policymakers. They are with our policymakers in the
name
different.
names?
I would not give. Of course, they are with the policymakers in the ministries. If you want to look at the Ministry of Environment,
Yes.
you want to look at Gender
Yes.
Commission. You want to look at I think Environment and Forest.
Yes.
Those policymakers that are in there
Yeah.
are aware of this. I mean, we develop them
Yes,
together.
of course.
They are the one that passed them. Why aren't they implementing them? That is the question.
Quietly, don't
Yeah.
look at me, don't talk to me,
Yeah.
don't focus on me. I don't want to be mentioned. No, but the fact of the matter is, you're going to COP26.
Yes.
Right? I assume our president is carrying some few people with him.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
from
the people who come
government.
back and then they don't do much. They don't implement much. Ni pesa, wanasemanga ni pesa. What reason at PACCHA do you get when you go and ask guys? We were friends. Hata tulikunywa sangria. Hapo Madrid na wewe. We are coming back here. Nothing is being done. You don't ever ask your people who you met there, because I want to find out, right? What excuses, because that's what they are, do they give you, or are you given, or are you fed when you ask about implementation?
Let me give you a very practical example.
Yes.
We're in a meeting on climate finance with partners from the ground, with government officials. We're discussing this. And so we are asking the question, they are saying the same thing, that money didn't get them. It doesn't get to the ministries.
Yes.
And they are also doing the same thing. Even the regulations are very stringent for them.
Yes.
So access for them is difficult. So there's always that aspect also of funding. How do we together implement, we need enough
But our
resources.
people are going to starve to
Yeah.
death as we debate this topic. At the end of the day, they have a responsibility to care for the people of this country, right? Climate change, as you said, is not going anywhere, right? It's getting more worse, as we said, right? So if we don't want a situation where now there's starvation and famine, et cetera, right? They have to come up with something. But before they do, I'm going to give them a pause because we've really bashed them this morning. Green jobs, right? Rebecca, you mentioned green jobs. Give me some green jobs.
Green jobs, before I say anything on green jobs,
Yes.
I like to appreciate also the government somehow.
Yeah.
'Cause
Somehow.
I want to appreciate them because within the Ministry of Environment,
Yes.
they have developed directorates
Yes.
that now should be geared to specific issues that we are going to channel at the COP.
Pause. Okay. My mother always told me, right? I reward you and I praise you for your actions, not for your hopes. Because, Elizabeth was saying how she doesn't hope, right? I reward you and appreciate you for your actions. So within this ministry or within this government, and let's take even 10 years, right? What actionable, tangible have you seen that rewards your merit?
For us coming from the trade union,
Yes.
working together with the climate change directorate
Yes.
within the Ministry of Environment,
Yes.
they have been able to appreciate our thinking with infusing elements of just transition into the national climate change the NDC.
So policies, they've come up with some policies and they've
Yes.
supported your policies.
Yes, and supporting that policy, when you put the just transition,
Yes.
because just transition is a very key word.
Yes.
That if it exists in any policies,
Yes.
it gives the trade union a stand to fight if a workers' rights are being infringed.
Okay,
Because
okay.
that just transition, it encompasses a lot of human and labor rights issues.
Yes.
Because if you go to the ILO just transition agenda,
Yes.
it specifically brings out the issues that we want to appreciate that to be seen on the ground when workers are working in any other area.
So it gives you credence and
working-
credibility,
Yes.
and it gives you a spotlight with regards to your work.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
And
That's good. Yes.
and that I want to appreciate what our boss, Dr. Francis Atwoli, did during the Corona times.
Yes.
He saw there will be an issue of workers' retrenchment.
Yes.
So there was an MOU, a memorandum of understanding that was signed between the government, the employers, and the workers that stated that if any worker ended up being retrenched from a job due to the Corona pandemic,
Yes.
they should ensure they are well compensated. They should ensure when the work is revived, you don't look for other employers.
You start with the ones that you let go
Yes.
first.
Yes.
And then you thought you were rid of that person.
Yes.
Kabisa.
Now,
Yeah.
court was already captured those people.
Yes.
They're just eyeing them,
Yes.
waiting on them to make any slight mistake.
Mumbi, did we lose any colleagues?
Please work at court.
Did we lose any colleagues due to COVID?
So
I'm allowed to say that because boss are Eldoret.
our need to advocating in policies issues,
Yes.
it gives us a stand in any argument that any employer will bring in relation to climate
Dr.
change
Atwoli,
issues.
I heard recently that you don't like to lose. I also don't like to lose. You have some winning people in your team. Let me tell you, you have some winners. But more importantly, as we get to the crux of the matter, green jobs. What are they? Where are they? And are we trained for them? Are we ready? Oh, mzungu mwingine atakuja kuichukua.
Okay, we have
Chinese.
this. We have an initiative in Kotu called BC, Better Utilization of Skills for Youth.
Yes.
That has infused climate change issues in it, where we work with TVET, this technical institution.
I love them.
Where we
They're so good.
We are checking on their curriculum and their policies that governs issues of upcoming job opportunities.
Yes.
Like now we are facing new job opportunities like the solar panel installation. There's these roofing tiles that are green.
Yes.
Those are new technologies that are being entered into the market, and also the smart agriculture.
Yes.
So within the technical university, we work with them to ensure their policies and their curriculum they cater these new upcoming skills.
There's something I read in today's Saturday Standard Climate Corner in Smart Harvest. It was talking about Zai pits. Have you heard of Zai pits?
Pits, no.
Yeah, Zai pits. It's a way of farming. It's actually a way of collection, right? It's a deep, instead of just farming maize on a huge field, right? In a huge field, you actually dig pits and then you grow the maize so that it's better water collection. Yeah, there's less loss. You've not heard of this at your grassroots level. It's fantastic. This was in Makueni, taking place in Makueni County.
Also Makueni is doing a lot of things because there's the county initiative of climate change. I feel Makueni is a good example.
They're ahead.
Yes, they are ahead because at the grassroots level, they are really working with their members on issues of climate change. And also in Kotu, we have a movement called the Green Representatives.
Yes.
Where we work with all our 47 affiliated union members, where we recruit 2 personnel from the unions.
Yes.
We call them green representatives because me, myself, as Rebecca, sitting at the headquarters, I cannot ensure my members are conversant with these issues of climate change.
Yes.
So these green representatives,
Like champions.
yes, the champions, are responsible to ensure at any CBA sitting, at any policy negotiation, at any other level where trade union members are engaged in issues related to workforce, they should ensure climate change issues are heard.
Yes.
I can give a good example with Kudea. They are the industry, they are the union representing workers, and also the plantation. I'll come to that. In Kudea, currently they are looking for ways to infuse climate change clause within the CBA.
Okay.
Because for the trade union, a CBA is like a Bible.
Okay.
It's a document that supports our members fully. You cannot
What does it stand for those who don't know?
Collective bargaining. It's a collective bargaining document where when the members, when a sector becomes a member to Kotu, they usually sign a CBA with the respective unions. So there's a way, a conduct of operation that is relevant to the CBA. Because you can't recruit a member and you don't give him all his necessary needs working as an employment. Because in the CBA, we have the occupational safety and health issues being approached, the social protection issues being approached, but now the climate change issues were not missing. They were missing. Because let's say, look at a CBA in the security sector.
Yes.
People are working in very stringent conditions.
Yes,
you can find a security man sleeping in a small shack, taking care of people, but we have not checked the climatic condition around where he's working. So if we update our CBAs, appreciating the existing climate change condition, you will find a security guard sitting with warm clothes, any necessity that he will need at that given environment in relation to climate change will be catered, because all other issues within the CBA has been catered for the specific individual working in that environment. So Kudea is working together with their respective sectors to ensure the CBA has a climate change component in it, and that will not stop at Kudea. We will take it further to other unions. That is a climate champion there. And also and also the climate champions in other sectors also working on now the green jobs. Like in the agricultural sector, we are having now our members talking on coming up with drought-tolerant crops that will ensure members continue working in specific sectors. And also in the energy sector, Kitau, they have done good on climate change. We have to applaud them because they have now gone into the wind. They're doing solar. Also, geothermal has been existing for a long time. It's a very good example at the COP. They have been using natural energy to produce power. So that is a good thing for the trade unions.
Elizabeth, you're not being left out. I want to come to you. I have a lot of questions. Exactly how the youth are looking towards COP26 and what tangible results they want to see. Good afternoon, you are listening to Double O Direct. I'm Olivia Otieno, and the adults are misbehaving. Yes. Find out what's been going down from 7 p.m. every weekday on SpiceFM in a few minutes. But now I must wrap up the conversation on climate change, climate justice, the climate crisis, and one lady who has some burning last words. She's Olivia, how long do I have? Talk, Elizabeth, talk. She's an environmentalist. She's a climate activist. She's a young woman headed to COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, with our president, one Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. Let me tell you, Mr. President, Elizabeth has some harsh words for you. This is just, not even to me, please. Leave me out of this, yeah? What do you have to tell our president? What do you have to say, Elizabeth?
I would like to begin with just local here where we are in Nairobi.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say vote of thanks. I was like, thanks, yeah.
No.
Thanks, yeah, I mean me. Okay,
no thanks. No thanks, because I think, I'm actually angry and frustrated.
Yes.
And this is because I, as a young person, feel so much ignored. And this is because if you look at the city right now, just painting a picture of what's happening, we are saying that we have just about 7.3% forest cover. And I know the president promised that we are going to get to a 10% forest cover by 2022. That's next year. It's less than a year to 2022 right now. And if you go to the city right now and walk around, you'll see there's so much tree logs and tree stumps.
Yes.
So my point is, even before we talk about COP26, what is happening locally? How are we as a country making sure that...
Kanano, as you take over as governor of Nairobi, Elizabeth wants to see more trees.
Exactly.
Please. Vumbi, sola, inatuua. That's all the Swahili I know, but continue.
Exactly. And look at our city right now. The air quality is so poor.
Yeah.
We no longer have clean streams. Nairobi River is in a total mess. And my big question, I think, to every Kenyan as well, when was the last time you did something that would impact the next generations? When was the last time you planted a tree? When was the last time you called out an industry?
No. When was the last time you did something that would positively impact the next generation? Forget about your nonsense.
Exactly.
Yeah, the positive impact
yes.
to the next generation. Give examples of what we can do, please.
Yeah, so I'll give examples of what we did and what we are doing right now. And I've talked about the green cities because I have a memory of a time when we actually faced, I would say, being ignored. I feel like we are being selfish. So this time when we realized that so many trees have been marked for felling in Nairobi City, and this was early this year on 14th of February during Valentine's Day, when people show so much love to people, we decided to show love to the trees. And we walked in the city and we were hanging love hearts to the trees just to symbolize and show people that these trees need to be alive. But again, the trees still ended up,
are they being felled because roads have to be expanded or development has to happen? For example, all the trees that were in line for the overpass had to go for that simple reason. What I want to know is, as they fell a tree, do they plant 10 others? Was there an exchange of that sort? Because it is similar to what Rebecca was saying. You're losing your job here, but you're gaining a green job opportunity. Training, upskilling, and workers have to be compensated for that, and their employees have to be aware of it, etc. Did you guys protest or make them aware that, guys, 500 trees have been cut down for this thing?
Yeah, we did protest. And I think what we have done is that we have failed to realize that we can strike a balance between the green spaces and development. Trees don't have to go down for us to, pave way for roads, or, we can still balance out the spaces. And right now, look at the city. We have limited green spaces. People have to walk for long distances to go spend some time at Uhuru Park, for example.
Or Jivanji.
Yeah, exactly. But we need to all have equal access to green spaces. I don't have to come from Lavington to have trees around me. So you're going to go and
camp at Kanunu's office and tell her we need this?
No, we will keep, speaking up, and we will keep going out there to say that we need our trees protected. The last time we did a march, we managed to save 100-year-old iconic fig tree in Westlands, but that was not enough. It was about all the trees that are being felled in the city.
So my question is, we don't have green spaces because all the land has been sold? Because in order for there to be a green space, it's a public space.
Yes.
Other than places like Jaffrey's,
Yes.
yeah, which was privately owned land available for use by the public.
Yeah.
But primarily, do we even have those government spaces, land spaces, for them to be green spaces in the first place?
I mean, most of these spaces have either been degraded or,
Yes.
they're being grabbed, or at
Yes.
the same time, these spaces are being destroyed to pave way for some of these developments and
Yes.
constructions.
Yes.
And we'll keep losing them if we
Okay.
don't speak up.
Okay.
And I think the other thing I want to talk about as well is how young people can actually continue to be empowered, because it's beyond, tokenism. It's beyond saying that young people are being involved. It's about meaningful engagement of young people, capacity building, education, and awareness. And this is part of the work that we do at Green Generation Initiative, teaching
Sorry,
children.
say that very slowly.
All right.
And then repeat it.
Okay.
And then say how you can be found.
Okay, great.
All right.
Yes. So part of the work that I do with young people,
Yeah.
and this is entirely so much into trees. I am so much into trees because I planted my first tree when I was 7.
Wow.
And since then, I continue to grow more trees, and I've done over 30,000 tree seedlings with these school children through this initiative. And
Wait,
this is
no.
because... Yeah.
Pause. What was the initiative that you mentioned?
All right.
You sped through it. I did not even hear it
Okay.
myself. It's called the...
Green Generation Initiative.
Okay. And where can the Green Generation Initiative be found? Physically and online?
So online, you can just find www.greengenerationinitiative.org, and you will be able to see some of the work that we do that focuses a lot on education for young children in schools. And also we focus a lot on food security, where we are not just planting trees, we are teaching people how to grow trees, because you don't just plant a tree and assume that it's going to survive. It needs to be well taken care of.
You know,
to be
the
able to
Standard Group
survive.
is working to plant more trees, especially in schools,
Yeah.
and fruit trees,
Yeah.
not just regular trees, but
Yeah.
trees that bear fruit. And I just
Yeah.
love that.
Yes.
Okay, where can you be online? It's
greengenerationinitiative.org. Yes.
And physically?
Physically, we are currently have our presence in like 7 counties.
Yes.
So we work with schools.
Okay.
And our vision is to expand to all the 47 counties around. And I believe like through collaborations and partnerships with people who are working in the same initiatives,
Yes.
we're definitely going to reach more than 20,000 school children that we've reached so far.
Yes.
And we're going to continue, impacting and also being part and parcel of the national target of attaining a 10% forest cover.
At minimum.
Yeah, at minimum.
At
It
minimum.
should be surpassed.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. It was fantastic having you here. Really, really passionate young person. Selina, your parting words, please.
Thank you very much. I just want to speak a little bit to the collaboration that civil society has with the government.
Yes.
And I must say that, we with the government, we've extended olive tree to each other. We
Yes.
work together.
Yes.
And I'm speaking now on behalf of PACCHA.
Yes.
That PACCHA works very well with the ministry.
Yes.
The CS.
Yes.
The PS are people that we can call on anytime.
Yes.
They can come to open our meetings,
Yes.
contribute to our meetings.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that with this collaboration, I think we were asking government to open the space a little
Yes.
more for civil society. Kenya is, if I'm not wrong, is the only country in Africa right now with an act, with the Climate Act of 2016, where the government involved all of us
Yes.
to support in the development of this act.
Okay.
So we want also to support the government in the implementation of this act.
True.
Because we think this act really covers Wanjiku, Acheng. It's quite important.
Yes.
And as we go to, the government has given us also space for the statements that we've developed this week in the 15 days of action. We had the civil society meeting, and then we had the specific one for the African women and girls that we did with Femnet.
Wonderful.
So we're asking for space to infuse
Yes.
our views into the government position paper.
True.
And I think that we can be good collaborators together when we go to Glasgow
Yes.
to ensure that something good happens to our country.
Yeah, let's work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah,
We
working
walk
hand
there
in hand.
together, we
Yeah.
come back together, we implement.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking for. Thank you.
Selina. Rebecca,
Yes.
Kotu,
Yes.
climate,
Yes.
parting words.
My parting words first will go to Our Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta. As you go towards COP,
Yes.
as you go towards COP, us as Kenyans, us as workers, we would like to see when we come back from COP, we have actionable activities.
Yes.
Because we have enough policies, legislations, as it's been said, sitting on our shelves. Now we want to pull them out and make them into actions.
Yes, yes.
And we have been talking about degradation of the environment that has been done by us,
Yes.
and majorly climate change is caused by us human beings.
Yes.
And it's not up to Kotu, not up to Wangari Maathai, not up to Pakta, but to us as individuals. So I'm calling everyone, us as individuals, to act our part for the environment. We don't leave all this to policymakers.
Yes.
We want to show them we are interested. I'm even willing and ready to have an activism walking on the streets, sitting on whose doors?
Yes.
We sit at their doors and
Yes.
make sure those policies are coming into actions. And talking from Kotu, us working, us going towards the COP26, we will ensure they are ambitious climate change policy with a just transition perspective. As I've said, we will ensure our workers' rights are maintained.
Can you also be working towards the people who are going to become the workers and make sure that they have the right skills? Because what happens if the job transitions into skills that we're not ready for, as a country and through our education systems? So I'm also putting it to you to ensure that as we develop this just transition, we are actually equipping and preparing the next generation of these workers to take up these jobs, or else we're going to have a serious, serious problem.
Because that is our main agenda.
Yes.
Because just transition is not only advocating for policies, but also change in our curriculum.
Excellent.
Change in our policy in the industrial level. Because if we check our production and consumption is well checked.
Yes.
All will be in sync. And if our policies are in sync with all issues, we are fine.
Thank you, ladies. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I know it's been a bit hot here. Let me put back the air conditioning. Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you.